So you gotta keep sharpening your pencil. You never like see me get it all done. But, like, maybe I would color over the weekend. Like, there's no homework, but I mean, I would. And then maybe next week after you guys finish your math testing, you can work on a kind of like picture. Yeah.
I'm in class.
Yeah, pretty good. Okay, but it has to do with this. It's a very interesting book where they write it and the history of Florida not precedent. So they couldn't like write history with what else. The guy like makes it like characters in a story to get word out to the country how bad things were and how bad. It's kind of like one really interesting. So we like learn all the people, and then we read the book. We have to try to like figure out who's it. I think you'll like it. It's I mean it's very end of the year, so, and that yeah, but that's we have lost. Okay, it's actually pretty. It's not as long as one of my normal tests. Like it's just on a book. The book's like 100 pages now, and it's like checking it. You know, it's like it's small. So we'll read like a chapter a day. We'll talk about the characters each day, and like that's the last 10 days. So. All right. So we're burned.
Yeah.
Okay. So we left off yesterday with Catherine the Great. Getting control of the country when her boyfriend murders her husband, okay? Or he dies of hemorrhoids, however you want to say it. And Catherine never tells her son Paul that Peter, the Tsar that died, was not his real father, okay? That Gregory Orlov isn't his father, never tells him. He basically grows up thinking that his father, the Tsar, died. Now, I don't know if I got to this point where he's about 13 and starts to ask questions. Did we say this or not? No. So when he's about your age, he hears little rumors. And I'm not sure who spreads these, but little rumors that his mother, Catherine, had his father killed. Now, first of all, that's not true because his father is actually alive. But he doesn't know that's his father. He thinks Peter is his father. He's dead. And every time he asks his mom about it, changes the subject. And that works okay when he's younger, but by the time he's like 18, he can like tell his mom's like hiding something. And in his mind, that basically confirms to him, she was not killed. My mom killed my dad. And he was very bitter about that. He basically thought that his mom basically robbed him of having a father. Okay? And as he gets into his 20s, their relationship becomes very, very strained. Okay? Paul does not like her at all, treats her terrible. And she starts to kind of think that he is like crazy. Now, I think it's probably partially because they just don't get along at all. Okay? And she makes a decision. It doesn't help. When Paul gets married and has kids, one of his kids, she takes a great liking to. The boy's name is Alex. She decides
Alexander the
she's going to skip Paul and give the throne to Alex. Doesn't want Paul to know. So she creates a secret will that's supposed to be open only at her death. Okay, to avoid this. She comes up with this like 10 years earlier, and she lives for 10 more years. Okay, so at this point, Alexander is about like, 18, 19. Paul is like around 35, 40, you know what I'm saying, like that age. And she's like in her 60s. Okay, well, she happens to have a stroke. You know what a stroke is, or like what causes it? Do you know what that is?
I do.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It stops the muscle of your brain. And when she has a stroke, she loses her ability to move. She becomes paralyzed. And she also loses her ability to speak. But she is alive. And she can think. So they'll ask her questions where she'll just blink answers. And they feed her and take care of her. Okay? But like she's kind of like at this point, like, close the door. Yeah. Kind of at the point now where like she can't really do much. Okay? And Paul takes it on himself to go into her room to try to find her diary. He wants to find out that she had his hand. He doesn't find the diary. He finds the will. He finds it well and reads it. And he's like, this is like the last betrayal of my mom. She killed my dad, and now she is not going to give me the power. So he wakes her up, and he stands above her and says, you're not going to stop this. And burns the will right in front of her. Because without the will, he's going to get the power. And he says, and I know you killed my dad, but you're going to spend eternity with him. What he means by this is when she dies, he actually has his father's coffin dug up. And that body had been in the last 30 years. Buries his mom inside and puts them together. That is creepy and insane.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But this is what he does. And he ends up getting the power.
It had to be that. Oh my god, it's so glitchy. He found. Oh, jeez.
There is one positive thing I can take out of this. Well, Paul. He only lives for like 3 more years. He dies pretty young. Thankfully. And when he dies, the power goes to Alexander, the one that she wanted
This
all
is
along.
what I usually do.
Now, I wonder if he hadn't have died, what would have happened to Russia? I don't know, okay? Because something awful happens with him right after Paul's death. Russia gets attacked. Now, Alexander's in his young 20s, so he's old enough to rule, but he's not experienced whatsoever. And he gets attacked by what some people consider maybe the greatest general of all time. Now, that's one of those things where it's hard to debate. Okay, you know Alexander the Great's Julius Caesar. You definitely heard this guy's name, Napoleon. Okay. Napoleon was a ruler of France. And Napoleon actually rose up the ranks. He was like a low-level guy who fired cannons and actually rose the way all the way up to control the army and take control of the country. One of those people went from nothing to like becoming the country. And he basically conquered Germany, Italy, Northern Africa, all of Europe, except for 2 countries, England and Russia. Napoleon had kind of an interesting character flaw. He wasn't super tall, especially not for a leader. You know, you think of like a Peter the Great, you think of the George Washingtons. Napoleon was like 5'6". That's actually taller than the average height for a leader that is not tall. He was actually too small to be a frontline soldier. That's why he shot cannons. Okay? And it always bothered him. So he developed what's called little man syndrome, or the Napoleon syndrome. Have you ever heard of this before? So little people are always trying to prove they are big and tough. All little boys are that way. You ever like babysit little boys? They always want to fight. They're going to like, you know what I'm talking about, okay? Want to wrestle and fight you. You know, like, and Napoleon wanted to prove that he is bigger than anyone else. He's better than anybody else. He's like, how can I prove I'm the best leader of all time? I conquered the biggest country in the world. I beat Russia. So he attacked Russia. I wonder what Paul would have done if he got attacked. No one will know that for sure. I don't know what would have happened. Okay? But Alexander's first problem is going to deal with Napoleon of France. After he took over. Fought Napoleon and France. So he goes out basically the army to try to stop Napoleon. Sadly enough, it's the first year we're not studying these battles. It got cut out of the curriculum. We're supposed to learn about it now in 9th grade. I think, I don't want to see my home. I forgot I taught it so well in 9th grade. I didn't really teach it anymore, so they want to take it back. So I don't think it anymore. So, you'll learn in 9th grade. But Napoleon definitely one of those guys like Alexander where he was like virtually undefeated during his career. Okay, he does lose, but very rarely. Okay, and the Russians are going to try to stop him, and in the first 2 battles, he absolutely annihilates them. Okay, he's really good at getting his cannons in the right position, very tricky, and cannons are always a way to win his battles. But Alexander basically gets intimidated and feels like there's no way he can win. So this is something interesting about the Russians. I've used this kind of comparison before, I think. But Russia is that country that they don't care if they lose as long as they kill you in the process. They're those people that like get shoved into a pool wearing their clothes, but if they grab you and pull you with them, they're all right with it. You know what I'm talking about? Like, we're probably like, I'm that person, I guess. You know what I mean, okay? At least if you get them to, you feel okay about it. That's Russia. The plan is you can't beat him. He's not giving them anything.